You are tuning into 95.7 Music FM for all your up-to-date music needs. Hope you're enjoying your Saturday night. Feel free to text in for some shout-outs. This is Again and Again by Basto. We'll be back in 3 minutes. What's going on? Apparently we play a game called StarCraft 2. I wouldn't know. But it looks like we may be having a game. Is this the official game? Looks like we may be having the official game, so no more mucking around. Good luck, have fun, GG. Serious business. And we do have the countdown music, so get our game faces on. After a short 3-year break, we are getting straight into game number 2. Interrupting our FM casting. As I jump my casting flag back up, it will be a PVT. Trusty. Let's jump into it. We'll do introductions and then get the screen sorted. Everyone, come back. I know it's pretty crazy. Spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we do have our representative for SPR. Probably licking his lips with the last chop he just ate. We do have the yellow Terran meanie. And I assume at least this is their representative. Please tell me if it's not. Spawning in our top right-hand corner, cross positions, the winner of game number 1. Can he take game number 2 as well? We have our purple Protoss representing ToR. We have a Trusty. And let's actually jump into Meanie's cam as I update the scoreboard.
SCV ready.
Additional supply depots required.
Meanie. Alright, I think we are. Oh, sweet. Actually, no, I gotta do the colors. Alright, sweet. Let me know if anything is incorrect.
SCV ready.
This is the second game. Trusty with the early attack. So, I guess to look back home, we do have the gateway and not opting to wall in. There's no real need for Terran. Taking that first gas, pretty standard. Meanwhile, back home in the Terran base, we do have a barracks going down and a refinery, so that does mean we will not be seeing a, I was going to say a forge fast expand. We won't be seeing a gasless expand from Meanie. So again, both plays pretty standard. Interesting to see when we have the second gas timings from both players. More than likely, Meanie will. Well, I guess there's a few options for Meanie. He is incorrectly. Looks like both parties will be incorrectly scouting, or no, maybe Trusty will be going cross positions first, perhaps. No. So both parties will be incorrectly scouting each other. But yeah, like I was saying, for the Terran, he has quite a few options available to him. We may see that one Rax expand into some Stim combat shield play, maybe some bio play. I guess we'll have to wait and see There are way too many options to speculate at the moment, but we do have a second barracks going down with a reactor, so it looks like we're going at least for a 2 racks before expanding. Interesting to see when M.A.D does opt to expand. It is pretty common still to expand after 2 racks. Obviously it's a little bit later than a 1 racks. And it looks like this probe will not live another day. But interesting getting a reactor so early. Does mean you'll have quite a high number of marine quite early in the game, but still for 50 gas it's quite an investment early. Interesting to see how he plays it out. And M.A.D is pausing. So bear with us as we await on the return of M.A.D. Maybe popping up the stream, just trying to see what's going on. Let's go back to the awesome face. So we'll looks like his speaker is completely effed apparently. So I will let you know when I know what's going on. He's getting an earphone. We might get some music going just while we wait. And we're back, pretty close, pretty easy. Wasn't too long. Apparently, M.A.D just had to get a new set of speakers and earphones, perhaps playing his beats too loud. Maybe it's a sign of my music, hopefully. But meanwhile, back to the base, we do have actually Marauder and Concussive Shell, so it looks like we more than likely will be seeing a timing attack off 1 base. We do actually have some scouting units coming across. They more than likely won't be able to do much damage. We do have quite a nice number of units, and this concussive shell won't be completed in time, but it will be pretty close. Only 15 seconds now before it completes. That actually be pretty good, because if Trusty does attack with this force, he won't actually be able to retreat. Combat shield hasn't completed now yet, and needs to retreat. He will lose his zealot, and I feel like M.A.D is going to retaliate. We do have an expansion going down from Trusty, so he has invested quite a bit into expanding. He's getting a second and third gate and a second gas, but he is in a little bit of trouble. Will require some nice unit control. He is getting a robo as well, so if we look at the unit count, only 2 stalkers on the field. We do have a concussive shell complete and 2 SCVs coming along as well, so we might be seeing some bunker placements. He will see the army coming up now. A third stalker is complete and needs to be careful not to lose. And the bunker does go down. More than likely we'll be seeing some potentially some probes taken off working at the moment. This army is way too big to deal with only 3 stalkers. He will chrono out another unit, but double bunkers going down. And interesting to see how he plays this out. Trusty's in a little bit of a pickle. And this expo will go down. He does cancel it. No need to actually complete those bunkers. And he looks like he is expanding behind this, so a good deal. Even if he loses this, the fact that he will be able to jump up to the base. No sentry is quite a big deal. Won't be able to block off the ramp. More than likely, M.A.D will retreat, but it was a pretty big get for him to deny that second. Will mean that Trusty will be a little bit longer before he can get that second. It will mean M.A.D will be also feeling pretty safe about his own expansion. But he does have to be careful about this this Colossi tech, which is going to come out soon. Losing that expansion is quite a big deal. It will significantly cripple the opportunity for him to build Colossi. So we may be seeing... no, we are expanding behind this. There is always an opportunity potentially to do a 1-base Colossi, but the timing of that definitely does not allow you to expand. So it will mean that Trusty will be a little bit behind. But again, if you can get a nice amount of Colossi out, even 1 if you can control it appropriately, will make quite a big difference. And the expo is going down as well. Meanwhile, back home we do have a starport next to the factory. Interesting to see if we get a reactor here, or he may actually use the starport down there. But more than likely, I feel we will be seeing some medivacs, and we do have that reactor going down. Now, he doesn't know that Robotech is on the way, but the good thing, obviously, about getting that reactor on your starport, you can build double medivacs, but as soon as you scout that Colossi tech, you can switch straight into double Viking play. And a lot of Terrans also just make a couple of medivacs, go for a little drop, a little scout, and then after that, either keep making medivacs if there's no Colossi play, or switch to the Viking production. But a notable thing, the first thing to come out of this is Warp Prism speed, so we might have a cute little drop. Maybe this Colossi will be picked up by the Void Ray and go straight into the main. With some nice micro from the Warp Prism, the Colossi can actually do quite a bit of damage, and the Void Ray is about to pop. So interesting to see if he does decide to do that. Yeah, and he does. Here we go. So if you look, the speed of Warp Prisms is quite fast with that upgrade. And he actually might be able to do quite a bit of damage. We do have most of M.A.D's army out in the front and the middle. He is getting his factory to scout now, but doesn't really have much at home. And again, the benefit, the fact that he can drop up and move around the base as he desires. Trusty does have a lot of potential to do some damage with this, but he definitely needs to do a little bit of damage to get back after losing that Expo. But the fact that we have quite a sizable army coming across for me is actually pretty good timing. There are no turrets up, and this Colossi will be able to do quite a bit of damage. Interesting to see how M.A.D reacts to this. He is jumping straight. No, he is actually gearing up for his own attack, so not even worrying about that Colossi. Is going to go for his own attack. So it looks like you can't really call it a base race, but it looks like he's going for the win now. And maybe we'll just try and get up enough of a force. He's getting Vikings now, so we'll get 2 Vikings. But nice force field that these Colossi will be able to get some free hits on the Terran units. So we do have 2 Vikings on the way, so we'll be able to deal with this Colossi very quickly. Trusty needs to be careful not to lose it. These 2 Vikings actually, nice timing. They could actually focus the Warp Prism first. And he needs to be careful not to lose both of them. He will eventually lose both of them, and it will go down. Meanwhile, that push from M.A.D didn't really do any damage. The finally goes down. The Colossi will go down as well. If we look at the killed, 12 workers killed from those Colossi. I don't think he actually went down and tried to attack down into the second, so perhaps could have used that Colossi a bit better. Ideally did not want to lose it. It does mean that he's down quite a bit in army size. 72 v 34, so it's really going to come down to some nice force field placements. We do have level 1 upgrades almost complete, which will make quite a big difference versus these Marines. But again, we do have Stim, Combat Shield, and Concussive Shell, so a fully upgraded bio army, except for the armor and weapons. And for those wondering, most of the people know, but the factory is there to draw Stalker Fire. So if a Protoss doesn't actually focus fire, the Protoss AI actually makes the Stalkers attack the factory on priority. And it looks like we may be gearing up for an attack. These Vikings actually do quite a bit of damage to these Colossi. They are doing, and I can't even finish my sentence. Trusty GG's. Losing that early second was quite devastating. And then the Colossi play in the Void Ray was pretty cute, but it didn't come out probably as much as he would have liked to. And Trusty did eventually go down. It does mean it ties up the score at 1 apiece. And we'll be back shortly. Hopefully not as long as the last break with game number 3. I assume they've finished their dinner, but we'll soon find out. So let's get some music going, and we'll be back shortly.
eat your piece of crack and cranium. Bring it on. You can bang the drum, you can bang the drum. You can bang the drum, you can bang the drum. Bring it on. You can bang the drum, you can bang the drum. We will play along, we will play along.
Hello, we are now in the game lobby. It looks like we're going to be gearing up for game number 3 very shortly. ToR has chosen Spook to attempt to kill M.A.D. It will be a TVT. And looks like M.A.D is ready to go. Just waiting on Spook. Stigglefish, this is a best of 9. Winning team will have 5 in total, so it will mean he will have to take out 4 more opponents for the win. And we are jumping into the game countdown now, as we can hear, so we'll be jumping into game number 3 very shortly. TVT on Cloud Kingdom LE. And as we jump now into the game footage. And interesting to see how this pans out. On S.p.A, TVTs aren't that common. So I'll look forward to this game. Let's jump straight into introduction. Spawning in our top right hand corner, we do have the representative for ToR. Seeing if he can stop M.A.D's reign. We do have the red Terran Spook. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, the representative for SPR. We do have the yellow Terran M.A.D. And let's jump in Spook's cam as I get the scoreboard sorted.
SCV ready.
Let me know if anything is incorrect. I think we're all sweet now. So jump back into my cam. Yeah, TVT, interesting. There are a few options available. Whether you go for a 1-1-1, whether you go for an early expansion into bio play. I know Spook has had quite a bit of success with early marine play and then teching up and switching into tanks and the like. But again, TVT is so versatile. It's often hard to get away without tanks. But if you can play effectively, then bio play is considered a feasible option. But we'll just have to wait and see. We do have the gas being taken for M.A.D. And actually the gas as well for Spook. So the same opening at this point in time. Terran music is OP. Let's actually make it a bit louder. Ah, so soothing. I'm actually tempted not to cast this whole game and just listen to the music. But nonetheless, both parties are scouting each other. And interestingly, the first... we did have actually a wall in from M.A.D, while M.A.D won't actually be able to scout up. We'll see the tech lab, which is an important information piece to know, but Spook will be able to just have free reign into the base. Does see the double gas, which is also another important aspect to look at. We do have both parties actually going double gas. Looks like a Reaper opening from both players. Now there are 2 ways, whether it's just actually for scouting purposes. Sometimes really it's a similar setup to Hellions in TVZ. There's different amounts of Reapers you can make, which kind of lets you know how much investment into it they are going, but it looks like at least 2. Spook now sees that the Reapers are on the way as well as the factory, so it looks like we'll be taking out of Reapers pretty quickly. But they're a nice safe unit at the start, and interesting to see who has the better control. We do have secondary Reapers coming out for both players, and it's actually an identical build at the moment. So we'll have to wait and see for who's going to attack first. I'll knock the sound down just a little bit. And M.A.D is slightly ahead in his build, just finishing his factory now, getting his starport, while Spook is just finishing his own factory. Interesting to see if he gets his starport as well. We do have 2 Reapers en route, and actually Hellions as well, so literally identical to the T at this point in time. If you look at the placement of Spook's Reapers, he has 3 now, versus the 2 of M.A.D. That defender's advantage will be beneficial. And it looks like we are getting nitro packs from both parties. So actually not transitioning out of Reapers. We'll be using them quite a lot in engagement, it looks like. I don't really have much experience. I haven't played in quite some time, so I'm not sure if this is the standard these days. But Spook, if we look at the vision from Spook, he has no idea about any vision. Some nice vision from M.A.D. He has quite most of the map, and he may actually be gearing up for some pressure up on the top of the ramp here. And really interesting to see who makes the first change in the build, or whether we're going to have a mirror to the end. We do have an expansion finally going down for M.A.D. And Spook also has the money for an expansion. Interesting to see if he expands as well. Now, M.A.D has it's almost like a Ling army, the equivalent for Zerg. See, he does have this watchtower, so he does know that Spook is moving out. He has 2 options, whether he goes into the base. It looks like he will be going potentially into the base, lift up these 2 Hellions, and jump into the base, but needs to be careful. It's a dicey situation. The fact that he's expanding behind this means that he'll have potentially less units. If we look at the unit count, 2, 1, 1, 3, 3, 4, 5, so pretty close. 1 extra Reaper, but these Hellions are going to come in and do quite a bit of damage and actually attack the mineral line. So these Hellions will actually be able to potentially do a lot of damage to the SCVs that are coming through. Meanwhile, Spook is going in for his own attack. We'll be getting the add-on before the research is complete on Cloak. But again, we look at the units lost, 29. We do have 2 workers for Spook. He just got absolutely annihilated. And is doing a decent amount of damage himself, so definitely isn't out of it. Both parties wiping each other out. I don't think I've ever seen both players on 1 worker. And what you might have thought would have been a GG instantly actually has turned out to be an exceptionally close trade-off. The big thing for M.A.D is he does have his Expo 3/4 complete, so we'll get that mule production, or that secondary mule, pretty close. We did have Spook getting his own expansion, but it looks like he might be gearing up for a 1 base pressure. He is getting a tech lab back on, so maybe we'll be gearing up for Cloak Banshee again. But wow, that's pretty intense. I guess the big thing though is M.A.D didn't lose many units. He was able to retreat quite convincingly. And looks like we might be gearing up for another attack soon. We do have Cloak starting for Spook, so it looks like it will be a 1 base play with Cloak Banshee. Needs to be careful, definitely does not want to lose this Banshee. And if he's not careful, we do have a volley v volley, and it looks like M.A.D will have to retreat. And probably more than likely we'll see this Banshee get repaired, but again, I have a feeling that Spook will try and move out with a Cloak Banshee. If we look back home, there is no engineering bay. He does have, actually, he isn't getting a orbital command just yet, but we'll have 2 orbital commands soon, so maybe able to force some scans out. If we look at the vision from M.A.D, he doesn't know that there is a tech lab back on, and he also, last we saw, he was expanding as well. Both 9 and 8. And the expansion now completing, so it looks like mainly gearing up for his own pressure again. This single Marine might actually be a saving grace for Spook. We'll let him know that there is a force on the way, and they are revealed now. we look back home, he is trying to get some good positioning. That cloak has finished, which actually is a huge deal. If we look before this engagement, I don't think I have enough time, but they are cloaking, and he only has a limited amount of scans, but again, doesn't have enough. It has no Vikings actually, so although cloak is complete, needs to be careful that he doesn't overcommit in the sense that he needs to get some Viking support. Air superiority, a huge issue, as both of them are vying for that. You do have a engineering bay coming down, so turrets will be up very shortly. So S.p.A, the fact that he hasn't expanded behind this really has to do some damage, you'd feel, to this economy, and then expand himself. But again, I guess this expansion, really, you couldn't necessarily call it expansion. It is just basically for mule production at this point in time. It looks like a single Banshee will be jumping into the back of the base. There is now one Viking in the field, which will be able to deal with it. But interesting to see how many kills it can do. It is already on 8 kills. Gets 1 kill. And we'll get 2 kills. Now S.p.A actually, his Viking is moving across the map. So it looks like he's not even bothering about his base, and it looks like he will be going for an all-in with these SCVs, so this will be the final push from S.p.A. He has to win with this, otherwise it will be game, and this Banshee will be following suit. We'll see that the SCVs are running across, and more than likely we will see Meanie, get ready, and this Banshee actually will go down, which is, actually no, it hasn't gone down, 8 health. If you look at the units, if you look at the units, there definitely is an advantage in Marines for Manly. He does have the Marine advantage. He has 1 tank advantage, 1 Viking advantage, but 1 Banshee less. So I definitely feel like, and I was about to say that S.p.A is not in a good spot, and GG's out. So an interesting and tight game for game number 3. It does mean that SPR does jump 2-1 up in this best of 9. But again, I'm amazed at the fact that both parties actually cleared each other out down to 1 worker, and S.p.A did cancel that expansion, opting to go for a 1 base all-in, and unfortunately maybe hit a little bit late, but wasn't able to do the damage that he needed, and eventually was taken out. So SPR does take the 2-1 lead as we await game number 4. And that does mean if Meanie kills 3 more, he will take the win for the team. But while we wait, let's get some music going. And we'll be back shortly. it looks like I have been invited to the next game. Jump into the game lobby. And it looks like it will be meaning obviously Terran versus Paroxysm. Zerg, so TVZ. Good luck, have fun, GG. We are about to jump into game number 4. Saddle up 2-1 versus ToR. As we get the game starting sound. It will be GSL dual site. And let's jump into the game right now. So Mini on a 2-kill at the moment. Seeing if he can bump that up to 3. Now, dual site's an interesting map. On this version there are the gold still. But we can talk about the map soon as we jump straight into introductions. So the man we were just speaking about, representing SPR, we do have the yellow Terran up the top right hand corner, Meanie. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, the nature side of the map. We do have a representative for ToR. I'm going to stuff this up. Our pink Zerg Paroxysm. Shut up. Speaking of the man, let's jump on his cam. And I'm just going to call him Paro. I hope he enjoys drinking. Because he's been labelled as a Paro now. So bear with me as I update the scoreboard. And it will be a yellow vest, pink. Alright, I think we are all sweet. Let me know if anything is incorrect on that scoreboard. In my last Clan Wars, I did have the wrong score on the wrong team at some point. But nonetheless, let's jump straight back into casting. So, interesting to note, we don't have a gas or a spawning pool down yet. And yes, we do have a 15 expand or 15 hatch from Paro. Back home we do have the gas being taken and a barrack, so no double racks or any gasless expands from Meanie. Looks like it will be scouting, and actually we'll see, no need to look at the APM count. He will see this 15 hatch go down, and look like it will jump into the base and confirm that by seeing that the spawning pool is just starting. What did I miss? I don't care. So we do have the scouting. SUV will jump over here. We don't actually have any scouts from... Oh, sorry, apologies. We do miss that. We do have the extractor going down for the Zerg players. So we'll be limiting how much gas can be taken from Meanie. Just basically means that there can't be any Banshee Cloak play or any fast gas one base ToRs or anything like that. And actually did allow it to end, not opting for a cancel and restart. But we did have a good timing on the bunker. Actually got in just before it popped. There are no soldiers, Marines on the way. So it is just one to force the drones to be pulled and to force the time of the drones to be released. If we look here, there are a total of 7 drones that aren't mining at the moment, and he will just cancel this and will just be free mining time lost. So the appropriate response probably only needed 4 drones to deal with that, but again, it's better be safe than sorry. But pretty much only for 25 minerals lost, he did make the 7 drones lose about 20 seconds of mining time. All these little things do make a difference as the game goes on, and it looks like we are gearing up for a reactor heli and expand play as we have Lings coming across to get that map vision. Looks like this Overlord will be scouting up just to around here, potentially for a scout later in the game. Pretty standard getting that spine crawler. If you do 15 expand, you aren't necessarily vulnerable to some early pressure. And now these Hellions have been revealed, and both of these Lings more than likely will go down. And didn't actually, I don't think he saw the expansion. If we jump into the cam, no, he didn't see the expansion. So nice denial from M.A.D here. We do have 2 spine crawlers, so we'll be able to deal with it quite effectively. Although if we look up in the main, there is no spine crawler. We do have a queen though. And let's focus of the Hellions. They will be going for a scout now. And finally, Arrow will see the expansion going up. And we'll know that he's safe from any kind of one base pressure. And that these Hellions won't be able to do much damage versus these double spine crawlers and double queen. They could actually, this is being blocked somewhat by the queen, but I do think they could potentially, maybe, I think they might be able to jump through there. I'm not sure. I've seen double queens used as a hard block. But again, I'm not entirely sure if Hellions can jump through there. And he will just be more than likely leaving these Hellions out on the outskirts of the creep, just trying to deny any kind of creep spread he can. He also is, and if you look here, he did actually see, and will roast that, so losing 25 energy for no gain. Need to be careful not to overcommit this queen, because he is vulnerable there, but if you look back home, he's getting his own bunker. And these Hellions will just do as much harassment as they can. Actually, more than likely could kill that queen with one more attack. But it's just going to be annoying. And 5 health and the queen goes down, so a nice get. And will just be annoying where possible. We do have a macro hatch going down. No roach warren or anything at the moment to deal with these Hellions. So interestingly, looks like he's gearing up for Zergling base play. Interesting to see when we have that Evo chamber go down for those upgrades. Back home we do have a starport reactor, so we'll be seeing that Medivac play, and also 3 barracks now. So a Hellion opening into bio base play, pretty standard. We have here we go, double Evo. So finally a hard wall for Paro. So these Hellions won't be able to jump through. I don't think they can jump through there. But a nice get as well from Paro. So he just needs to try and deny creep spread as long as possible as he macros up himself. Interesting to see when he gets his third. It is very common to get an early third as a Terran versus a Zerg. You want to get those mule production and that nice economy going so that you can pump out those Marines and various other units. If we look at the unit count, he did make 4 in total, and it looks like he's got 2 medivacs and quite a few Marines coming across the field, so he might have a nice engagement about to happen. Quite a few lings. Needs to be careful not to get these surrounded. But they are slowlings at the moment, which means they are almost impossible to deal with these Hellions. These Hellions can just run away quite quickly. Speed is still 30 seconds away. We do have 1-1 on the way, but these Marines will hit well before that. And they do have stim as well, so these drones will be forced to go back in the main base. The spine crawl will go down. And actually these lings, these slowlings, are just terrible with dealing with this. These 2 overlords as well, and more than likely with this positioning, we'll be able to get the expo down. We'll do some significant damage. The drones have forced to be pulled, the queens do go down, and if we look at all of these drones and a man in mule being dropped, I mean, he knows he's got the game in the bag, and he it'd be interesting to see if that man in mule was a bit premature. I mean, if we look at the workers killed, 18 workers killed, so you know, definitely not ideal, but he looked like he was droning up quite aggressively beforehand. So really Zerg has to drone up exceptionally hard behind this to catch back up, and it's really in Terran's favor now. Sorry, in Terran's basically it's up to Terran now to keep the pressure on. Can let a Zerg back in quite easily if you just let them drone up 100%. They do need to be greedy, but interesting. I thought he had it in the bag, but nice hold from Paro, and will be going in for a counter of his own. But these Marines with stim will be able to do quite a bit of damage, and actually those lings did absolutely no damage. A lot of them going down. Did force the stim, so we'll be using some of that energy. It's always important to try and minimize the amount of energy medivacs have. We have the third going down for M.A.D as well. Interesting. See if we have a planetary or an orbital go down. But if we look, we have actually 10 lings in production, a baneling nest going down as well. And this macro hatch will enable him to build quite a few lings when it gets to that point. If he wants to. We have another engagement about to happen. The third still hasn't gone down for Paro, so he's still on 2 base, which is never ideal. And interestingly, stimming up. We'll see that the lings are here and will be forced to retreat. We'll be getting this creep turn as well, and Paro with the GG. M.A.D actually taking the 3rd kill for himself on a little bit of a rampage. And I guess what I was, oops, that's the wrong one. What I was saying there is, I mean, Zerg really had to play exceptionally greedy to get back in the game, but well played from M.A.D. He did apply more pressure and force the GG from Paro. So it does mean M.A.D. is 3 kills down, and he is 2 away from an all-kill for himself. But we'll be back shortly, hopefully, with the next game. Stick around as we put some more music on. I'll let you know when I know the next. Fish, the loser of, or the losing clan, so the losing clan does pick their next player as well as the map. I'm not sure if there is a map pool. Again, I'm just casting it, but I can confirm that it is loser's choice. Have been invited into the next game lobby will be GSL Antigua Shipyard. M.A.D. Looks like M.A.D will be taking on Danosaur. Looking forward to this one. Danosaur, quite a sizable opponent. For those wondering, M.A.D is rank 44 GM. And Danosaur appears to be Masters. but I do know that he is a GM potential. So it will be, I'm the leader. Good luck, have fun, GG. So it will be a GM vs GM. Just waiting on Dinosaur's confirmation. And we will be starting the game. Dinosaur vs Meanie. GM vs GM potential. Looking forward to this one. It should be a close one. Will be a TVT. And let's jump straight into it. GSL Antigua Shipyard. Will we see another rare build versus rare build identical? We'll soon have to find out. Spawning in our bottom right hand corner. Let's get straight into it. We do have our member of S.p.R. who is actually on a 3-kill at the moment. Can he make it 4 and move 1 away from an all-kill? We do have the yellow Terran Meanie. And spawning top left-hand corner, our representative for ToR. I've been told he was ranked 9 GM at his peak. Definitely has the potential to take down Meanie. We do have the representative for ToR, the green Terran Dinosaur. And let's jump into Dinosaur's cam as I update the scoreboard.
SCV ready.
Again, let me know if anything is incorrect, but it should be all sweet as we jump back into my cam with the noise of a supply depot block. So, more than likely won't be much to talk about early in the game. So, as I alluded to earlier, Meanie has taken out the first 3 from ToR. And is 2 away from winning it for SPR. Both actually, we don't have a gas taken yet from Dano. Interesting to see if we do see that, or he goes for a gasless expand. We'll have to wait and see. He's getting his wall started. So it looks like he's trying to purposely deny entry into its base, so maybe going for something sneaky. As both parties do scout, we do have an incorrect scout from Meanie initially up to the bottom, up the top right corner. Then more than likely we'll jump up to the top left. But it looks like Meanie actually did change his route, so we'll be going cross positions. But Dinosaur will hit the base first. And the Dinosaur realizing, and he actually might be able to jump in before the he will jump in before the supply depot wall is in, and actually we'll see the second gas, which is some big intel to know. It's important to know that you get that second gas. There's a lot of options available for Meanie, and it looks like he might be going for that Reaper opening, as we did see in the last TVT game versus Spook. Interesting to see if we do end up doing that. We don't see the same build from Dano. And as expected, we do have, well, not expected, but as it looked like it, given we didn't have any gas, we do have a gasless 1 Rax expand. So this Reaper pressure actually could do quite a bit of damage if we can get in and harass a little bit with it. So it looks like Meanie does enjoy this kind of a build. And it will be revealed that Reapers are on the map. And no, he actually cancelled it. So perhaps changing things up. If we look at Dano's can, as far as he's aware, the second gas is on its way, and looks like we will be expanding behind this. So, nice little switch up, nice little fake going down from Meanie. Perhaps he was planning to go for the same build as the last game, but realized once it was scouted, didn't have quite as much potential as the previous game. Back home, we do have both gases now finally being taken from Dinosaur, and only 2 Marines at the front. 3 Marines actually, interestingly, hidden away in the gas, and a factory on the way as well. So, more than likely we'll see a starport jump out of this for either some Banshee, Medivac, Viking. To see air superiority is a huge thing in TVT. as these Reapers do scout. The expansion almost complete. And 2 more racks going down, so it looks like we're gearing up for a heavy bio base play from M.A.D. He doesn't have a factory on production yet, so he hasn't got factory tech yet. And if we look at here, we do have a reactor, double reactor, and a nice scan timing from M.A.D. We'll see the double reactors. We'll know that there is heavy marine play going to be playing on the field. So interestingly enough, he's getting a tech lab, so whether we see a Banshee play, or he might actually switch up to some Hellions, given that he saw double reactor on those barracks, will mean that Hellions will be quite a viable option. But again, we'll have to wait and see. And we finally do have, and I just believe I just missed the scan, but M.A.D did just scan in this vicinity, so did see the tech lab researching from the factory, so knows that tanks are on the way, and also saw the starport as well. So more than likely we'll be seeing a Viking come out, and there is the Viking. Reason not to have a Medivac is because he only has 1 rack, so there's no real large bio play in production, as if we look at the 3 racks with actually 5 units being produced at any point in time, Medivacs will be more effective for M.A.D. He's getting a defensive bunker as well. If we look at the income, 33 versus 29, so a nice little lead for Dano. It does make sense, he did get these expo up a little bit earlier, but still pretty close. The first Viking out on the field. And really, I guess the difference is, although Dinosaur did have his expo up, did have his Viking and tank production and siege tech on the way first, it does look like we do have the upgrade advantage about to happen for M.A.D. He is getting stim pack as well as level 1 upgrades. And his Viking perhaps just doing some scouting, trying to see if there's a third up. And interesting, both players having Marines in the gas. I guess it is always a risk to have drops of Hellions come through, but we looks like we have 2 more factories in production, so gearing up for a more mech base. So it looks like it's going to be mech versus bio, and really it's going to come down to some good tank placements from Dinosaur. We'll be able to do quite a bit of damage, and I guess M.A.D really has to abuse the fact that tech is a bit slower, so we want to see plenty of drops from M.A.D. Dinosaur is getting his third up. And this Viking just doing some scouting. Did see that the actually no, that was an old scout, so he doesn't know what's happening in the base. And there we go, Medivac production. So not gearing up for any kind of air battles. We do have Viking production. If we look at the unit count, only 1 Viking on the field, so actually hasn't built very many Vikings out of that. He's building his second one now, but he was in no hurry to get more. And we might be gearing up for a 1 stim level 1 upgrade timing attack. If you look, there is a nice siege line. You can't imagine any kind of damage will be done if M.A.D goes on straight. So M.A.D goes on straight head on. He does have a few Medivacs, but again he has a nice spread of units and Vikings to deal with any. It looks like we do have a patrol, and more than likely we have a patrol on the left as well. But it looks like we're about to have an engagement. These Hellions will jump out and see that there is an incoming force. This other tank needs to siege up, and it will siege up now. And having scanned the base, will more than likely retreat. There is no use attacking that many tanks head on. And that's really what the... I guess when you play Bioplay, the big thing you got to use is the map vision. The fact that you have map control when you are... and he might actually lose a Medivac. But again, like I was saying, with Bioplay, you really do have the map control for a sizable amount of time. So I'd like to see M.A.D expand multiple times, try and use that map advantage, get his economy going, and then potentially overwhelm Dinosaur. Now, Mech Army is very strong defensively, but you have to be careful not to extend yourself too far. And it also means you sacrifice map control and map vision. So it's a bit of a trade-off. But really it's up to M.A.D to use his map vision. Make sure he denies thirds for as long as possible. We do have a third up for Dinosaur, but doesn't seem like it's going to be landing anytime soon. Actually, I did lie. It looks like it's going to be landed now. So we might see these rocks be taken down, and it will be really important for M.A.D to deny this third for as long as possible, trying to slow down this mech army for as long as he can. And we do have an armory on the way. So we'll be starting upgrades very shortly. Back home, we do have a third now going down for M.A.D. Look at the worker count, 66 V47, so a sizable lead for Danosaur. And I'd like to see some pressure put on this third. Looks like M.A.D is going to scout. And as I suggested earlier, these destructible rocks will go down. And it is an orbital command, so it won't be a planetary fortress. But again, nice spread from these siege tanks. Will be able to do quite a bit of damage. And these Hellions will do any kind of sop up. So if we look, he doesn't actually know that the rocks are down. Danosaur now realizing that the rocks are down as a Marine jumps up. And M.A.D won't be able to do any pressure. And these Hellions actually will be able to jump through and do quite a bit of damage. Needs to split. We've got Blue Flame Hellions now complete. So we'll need to split his Marines. But this heavy Marine force is not going to do well versus this mech-based play. Danosaur almost playing as if he's playing mech versus Zerg. Seeing that Blue Flame Hellion and the heavy tank play. But the longer he allows Danosaur to keep these bases up and to macro up with that stronger army base with the mech play, the harder it is going to be for him to break. And it looks like he might potentially be jumping up. Continuing to scan and sees an exceptional amount of tanks. So again, I guess I'd like to see another expansion go down from M.A.D sometime soon. If he's not going to attack, he at least has to try and get the economy lead as we do an update. 76 v 51. So I do like the look of Danosaur. We do have 2-2 on the way and level 1 upgrades for mech for M.A.D, while we do have level 1 upgrades almost complete. And may even see a second armory go down soon to get that 1-1 play. But it's a nice composition to deal with. If we look at the units, we do have 63 Marines, 15 Marauders, 2 Medivacs, and 2 tanks. There's 17 tanks and 8 Marines. But those 17 Blue Flame Hellions are going to do a significant amount of damage if they can catch these Marines in a nice surround. And it looks like Danosaur is going for an attack. And we may have both parties attacking each other at the same time. Both parties will be scanning each other. He just scanned up the top and realizes that that army is not there. They can see each other now, and the tanks are sieging up. And looks like we'll be going up for an attack soon. These Blue Flame Hellions are going to do a huge amount of damage. And we do have only 2 tanks out on the field. And without a doubt, the advantage is in Danosaur's favor. We'd like to see some tanks jump up through here. And actually, the 2 tanks... And does see that the tanks have moved down, so he has an opportunity to extend his tanks himself. And looks like the Hellions are coming through. The tanks are going to do quite a bit of damage. And once he gets rid of these 2 tanks, 1 tank goes down, only 1 tank left, and it will go down. Oh, will it go down? He won't take it down. It looks like he'll go for the Hellions to kill it. He does get the tank, so 1 tank left. And this is a huge amount of mech play. Sorry, I'll get back onto the production schedule. We do have 2-2 and 1 almost complete, but the 1 upgrade from this tank is crucial because it does mean that you do kill tanks in 3 hits as opposed to the 4 hits it takes with no upgrades. And you can appreciate that M.A.D's in a lot of trouble. He can't engage this head on, and he needs to expand behind that. He has got 2 more factories complete, and it looks like defensively both parties do have a sizable amount of production facilities available to them. Level 2-2 upgrade just completing, so we might see an engagement soon with that 2-2. But Danosaur slowly creeping across the field, getting that map control back in. And I would like to see this Hellion jump through and try and see if there's any expos. But it looks like the M.A.D is trying to go around the side. But I guess something to note is with this heavy mech play, you want to try and create cuts across the field. So what Danosaur is going to be trying to do is cut off any way for counterattacks, just like you would with Zerg. So he'll make a force around here so that, as you can see here, the tanks did siege up just in time. And although he'll lose quite a bit of these tanks, potentially a lot of these Marines and Marauders will go down. The second line of tanks as well. And like I was suggesting, it's really up to M.A.D to try and pick his fights. But Danosaur is expanding. Now that he has that map vision, that map advantage, we'll be getting that gold in the middle. And M.A.D will be forced to retreat. almost a massive boo-boo from myself. Apologies for missing the start of that engagement. We do have a fourth on the way for M.A.D as well. And these tanks will be retreating home now. Actually, no, they will be jumping back up as he does see the army on the way. Plenty of scans going down. We do have level 2 on the way. And how many? We do have five factories. If we look, how many do we have from? Looks like we only have 3. So 3 factories versus 5 factories. But again, he has the advantage with the barracks. 2-2 is complete. No level 3-3 on the way. And once Dinosaur gets his 2 upgrade on the siege tank, it's going to make quite a big difference. These marauders will drop exceptionally fast. And if you look, Dinosaur can now see, and probably not the best option, but he has to do a lot of damage with this. Needs to jump into those siege lines, and actually he's surprisingly doing a lot more damage than I thought. Dinosaur might actually lose this siege line advantage. He has a lot of tanks at the expansion, but nicely played from M.A.D. That 2-2 upgrade and using that marauder heavy composition does mean that he can tank a lot of the fire, and the third will be forced to lift up, and a lot of tanks from M.A.D as well. So a nice transition out of the bio play. We do have level 2 now complete for Dinosaur, but a very nice transition out of this bio heavy. He was in a lot of trouble early. He couldn't really apply any pressure because there was such a high level of tank count. If we look at the tank count now, 11v12. So for the first time, M.A.D actually has the tank advantage, and we'll drop that now to 9. This expansion will go down very quickly. All of these workers as well, and it's looking pretty a pretty nice turnaround for M.A.D, I got to say. He does have his 4th up. It hasn't expanded to a 4th location yet. If we look at the worker count, 45v57, so M.A.D with the economy advantage as well. 32 workers being killed from M.A.D. And now M.A.D with this sizable army can create his own siege line and potentially expand himself, which he is now. And that's the great thing about Terran. It's like a puzzle in the sense that it's back and forth. Whoever has the map vision can safely expand. Whoever doesn't always has that feeling of not sure when they can move out. If we look at Dinosaur's vision, he has no idea what's going out. And it looks like we are going for an offensive from M.A.D. He's going to jump straight into the, not even worrying about sieging up, and he will now, but losing quite a few of those tanks before they can do any damage. And interestingly, it costs him a lot. He does have an offensive line now, and did put the count down a little bit, but again, I feel like he may have overextended himself there. The tank count now back in the favor of Dinosaur. But again, is able to expand behind this. If we look at the worker count again, 41v57. Almost double that. In fact, is double the income of Dinosaur, which will actually hurt potentially as the game goes on. But if you look, he does have 4k minerals in the bank and 800 gas, so a nice amount of pull. I'd like to see Dinosaur really needs to macro up a little bit more. But again, it's easier to say than do. We have level 3-3 upgrades on the way, and appropriately, we do have Dinosaur getting, where is it? We do have him getting a Cloak Banshee, which will make quite a big difference. We'll be able to pick off these siege tanks, as we do have 1 Banshee on the field. And will force the retreat from M.A.D. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, M.A.D is still continuing to do bio-based play. Having that, and actually will stim through. Probably will lose a lot of his units for no real gain. These tanks down the bottom will be able to do quite a bit of damage. These Vikings giving the high vision support. But the thing about this siege tank is it does have the Zelnaga tower, so it won't be able to, unfortunately, use any advantage. And these Blue Flame Hellions will be able to do quite a bit of damage versus these SCVs. And this TPT is on a knife edge. Interesting to see who decides to check into Sky Terran first. It definitely looks like it's not gearing up for that anytime soon. The cloak does go down. And really, it could all it could come down to is one poor engagement from either party, and it could mean the game. Looks like this expansion will be attacked, and more than likely will go down as well. Level 2 upgrades not on the way yet for M.A.D. Level 3 upgrades of the weapons haven't started either. I'd like to see level 3 weapons start very soon. But he does have to lift this orbital. And if we look here, we do have 2 command centers complete. More than likely, we'll be seeing them jump into orbital commands. And even though if we look at the unit count, only 37 workers for Dinosaur, it gets to a point in TVT where you basically just trade your SCVs and go to basically pure mule production or mule mining, so that you can have a stronger force. But looks like Dinosaur's army might be caught out of siege, and this 3-3 army actually just a little bit too early with the engagement. The 3 armor, which is the main thing we need to look at, which does quite a bit in terms of defending any kind of force, just finished, and maybe Meanie mistakenly engaging there. 108 versus 41 is really a Dinosaur with an opportunity to attack, apply the pressure. We do have the 4th now going down for Meanie. Same it looks like for Dinosaur as well, so both parties expanding again, but Dinosaur on the offensive, realizing he crushed that army. If we look at the unit counts, 18 tanks now, and only, actually no tanks on the field for Meanie, and Meanie realizing he can't come back from this. No money, a lot of gas, but GG from Dinosaur, and look, that was an awesome game to cast, and it does mean that the reign of Meanie is now over, and does make it 2-3 still in the favor of SPR, but Meanie's 3-kill reign is now complete. Well played from both parties, was pretty clutch, and I just think that last engagement didn't go as well, and it really did come down to one poor engagement, and the game went from there. So well played to both players. We'll be back hopefully shortly with some more games as we jump into game number 6 as soon as possible. We'll be back shortly. And it looks like as quickly as that ended, we are about to jump into game number 6. It will be Dinosaur versus Stoogle SPR. Good luck, have fun, GG. I love how fast this is about to start. Just waiting on Dano's confirmation. Will be Cloud Kingdom LE. And a TVP. And it looks like Dinosaur will be getting a drink, and then we'll be starting the game very shortly. So I might just get one more song going.
Try to push past, but he wants to play. So I sip his drink as I hold his gaze. Oh, when we erupt into the room and hear the sucker boom, I'm feeling easy to resume. This right here, I swear, will end too soon. So I sink into the truth.
And looks like we're jumping into a game number, what is this, 6 now. As I get the sounds back up, it will be on Cloud Kingdom LE, a Protoss versus Terran Dinosaur versus Stoogle SPR. And can Dinosaur have a comeback for ToR? If he wins this one, it will tie it up 3 apiece. Spook, calm down. Now I didn't quite catch what league what league Stugel is. I'm pretty sure he's probably GM, but if someone in chat can let me know, that'd be awesome. But I'll jump straight into introduction, spawning in our bottom left-hand corner. We do have the victor of the last map, or the last game I should say, with some nice TVT in that early mech and just eventually overwhelming the opponent. We do have our representative for ToR, the Yellow Terran Danosaur, and spawning in our top right hand corner, the representative for S.p.R. taking over the reins as Meanie is now out of the game. We do have our dark blue Protoss Stugel, and I will jump into Stugel's cam as I update the scoreboard. SPR still up 3-2 in this best of 9, so still taking the lead. But it does bring it a lot closer with a 3-2 scoreline. Again, let me know if anything is incorrect with this scoreboard. As I jump back into my cam, we do have quite an early scout from Stugel. Perhaps going to try and do some pressure, or some harassment I should say, on the barracks, but actually choosing not to. Danosaur is and some nice pressure. So there's two options for the probe. I mean, you can do some mineral harass, but also just have a little few cheap shots at the SCVs, try and soften them up a little bit. Unlike Zerg and Protoss, they don't recover their shield and health, and it's just an annoying little thing that Protossers can do. We do have a pretty standard opening, the gas and the gateway going down for Stugel. No gas yet for Danosaur, so we might be seeing a gasless expand again. We'll have to wait and see. And Danosaur will be scouting now for the first time, as the probe
Upgrade complete.
is chasing him down. More than likely this SCV won't see the live another day, as we do have a Zealot out on the field. Can he deny it? Actually no, jumps straight through it, and we'll come up here and see the gate and also the one gas, but doesn't see a cyber core, so he will soon find out if he can get out of the base, which is a pretty big deal. If Shield can deny this scout, it will be quite a big deal. Danosaur still doesn't know that there is an expansion going down, quite an early expansion actually, and more than likely will jump down soon, but he's getting his own expansion himself. It was gasless expand and getting a defensive bunker as well. Danosaur not actually opting to get out of the base just yet, but you'd feel pretty confident, Danosaur, having seen that this cyber core isn't out yet, that something's up, and more than likely we'll be jumping down here shortly to see that the Nexus is on its way. Now this Zealot actually will be able to bypass the bunker and run straight in, get some scouting information. Still sees that there is no gas. Now the two gas going down. Interesting to see if Danosaur keeps these two gases on their way, or actually cancels them. But we do have a second barracks going down as well. So Danosaur still in the base, hasn't scouted that expansion yet, but looks like he's about to scan it now. And it does see that the expansion is up. So really, Danosaur has a few options. You can either gear up for a 2-base pressure to try and kill the Protoss, or at least significantly damage the Protoss for expanding so early, or get his own army up, get the economy going, and try and out-expand the Protoss player. So it'd be interesting to see at around the 6.5 minute mark what the Protoss gears up to do, and interesting to see if we do see Danosaur expand up the top left. That would be some interesting play. And the Stalker as well, like it will be scouting soon, but these bunker play will be able to deny it pretty convincingly. We do have a second barracks with a reactor going down, so actually an attack lab as well, so more than likely we'll be seeing that combat shield. Unless he's gearing up for an attack, then we will more than likely see that stim. We have two Stalkers coming up just to poke, see what's at the front. He knows there is a bunker there, and will more than likely just try and do as much damage as he can to the bunker without losing any health. You can do a few little pot shots, lose all your energy, and then just quickly recover it. But we do have a Twilight Council as well going down, and interestingly, we have Twilight Council. So Templar archives, and a good scan timing from Danosaur, sees exactly what's going down. And I think this more than likely, it looks like we'll be having, oh there we go, there's the cancel. So initially it looked like it was going to go for Charged Archon, but has actually changed his route now that that element of surprise has changed, and we may be seeing Colossi tech instead. So Danosaur, having seen that that Twilight Council, more than likely we'll be getting a factory and starport up soon. Also, maybe getting an earlier Ghost Academy to try and do some EMPs on the Archons, but given that the fact that the Archons won't be in existence anymore, having such an early Ghost Academy might be a bit of an investment, but we still do have Charge on the way. So it'll be interesting to see how this pans out if we have Charge-lit Colossi. And interestingly, getting rid of his destructible rocks, and there we go, we do have the Colossi Den on the way, so and getting an Immortal out as well, so going to be getting a pretty standard Death Ball. Won't seem like we'll be having any Archon play for some time, but getting those Immortals, Sentry Stalker and Colossi. If we look back home, he does have a reactor going down on the factory, so more than likely we'll jump it onto the starport, get some medivacs out on the field, and as soon as he sees the Colossi on the field, we'll get some Vikings out. And he's just, I guess the advantage for taking out these rocks is it does mean that should an engagement ever happen on these ramps, that the force fields won't be as reliable, won't be able to do as much damage, but he might actually be able to do. I feel pretty confident with these 4 sentries though. They should be able to do quite a bit of blocking, and we look here, he is taking down these rocks. Again, will mean that more than one force field will be required to block off the wall, but I believe 3 force fields is all you need, or maybe even 4, but he definitely has enough for 4. And Stugel actually didn't see that coming for some time. We do have a Colossi almost complete. It will be out in time, which is a nice timing. Needs to be careful to keep that alive. If we can get some nice force fields down, trap some units in, and then get that Colossi out. But it looks like the Colossi will be revealed now, and there it is revealed. So we more than likely will be seeing, after these 2 medivacs, we more than likely will be seeing Viking production ramp up, and this factory will more than likely initiate the fight. There aren't any stalkers, so there's only 1 stalker, so it will also make the sentries fire that as well. The Templar Archives on the way, so eventually we'll be seeing those Archons come out. And actually is 1-0 at the moment. Getting his level 1 armor hasn't actually expanded behind this at the moment. If you look back at the home, he is getting his 3rd command center now. Meanwhile, the Protoss is expanding to a 3rd as well. And just deciding he doesn't like the rocks. We do have a 2nd Colossi just completing, and 2 Vikings as well. If you look at the unit count, these are the first two Vikings to pop out. And an update on the worker count, 56 v 58, so very close. And might actually be able to deny this, that no, the Stugel is very aware of the movements of Danosaur and saves his 3rd from any kind of pressure. And armory going down as well. So maybe seeing level 2-2 on the way. More than likely, definitely won't be seeing any kind of mech upgrades from the armory, but generally the armory is required to start that 2-2 upgrades, and wants to get that out as soon as possible. You don't want to let Protoss get the upgrade lead. And speaking of the upgrade lead, he is halfway through 1-1. And if we look back at Danosaur, he is 1-0, about 3/4 or 4/5 the way through the way of his armor as well, though. So might be gearing up for some drops. If we look, he more than likely will be trying to pull the force of the Protoss to this 3rd and then attack at the 2nd. So interesting to see how that pans out to him. If you look at the composition of the units in there, we do have 2 Marauders, and I think the rest are... No, it's 2 Marauders and 4 Marines in each one. And here's the drop. Could do quite a bit of damage. The Protoss army is out of the way. And the thing about it is if he splits his army, it is weak. But also we do have a 2-pronged attack. All of the workers did have to be removed. And finally, it will reveal that he has Archons, but this expansion will go down, and he will just jump straight back in. So a nice attack from Dinosaur, getting rid of that expansion, and wasn't able to attack up into these Colossi. But it doesn't matter, he did the damage that he needed and then jumped out of there, minimal losses. And we do have an, where is it at? We do have a Ghost Academy on the way, so we'll be seeing Ghost for EMP very shortly. But look at the Viking count, 7 Vikings, so a sizable amount, and needs to get these Colossi down as soon as possible. No Sentry Force Fields yet. But again, we'll reset the Colossi count and stop this up. But I definitely feel like he engaged with the Bio army a little bit soon. The thing about Stugel's army is, if we look here, he has 1 Stalker and 1 Archon, so he has actually minimal anti-air. So these Vikings can actually just wreak havoc on those Colossi. And he did lose quite a few units, potentially unnecessarily, to those 3 Colossi. They did do a lot of damage before they died. They are level 1-1. And 2-2 on the way as well. How many gates are we up to? We are up to 8 gates in total, unless there are more. No, 8 gates in total. And it looks like we might be having another engagement at the 3rd. Again, an update on the worker count, 72 v 60. He did take out only 3 workers, so that initial engagement that dropped down at the 2nd was a nice reaction time from Stugel. Didn't lose much. And now he has a few defensive cannons to deny that again. And the 4th is cancelled. Needs to be careful about these Templar Archives. They don't actually have Storm at the moment, so they can only feedback. And the only thing that they can feedback are these Medivacs. So more than likely we'll be seeing them jump into Archons very shortly. In fact, I'm not sure why they still are High Templar, unless he is deciding to get Storm very shortly. We do have 4 Ghosts on the way as well with the Mobius Reactor, which is the plus 25 energy to the Ghosts. They will start with 75 energy, enough to go straight into an EMP. And looks like Stugel is bringing the fight to Dinosaur. Dinosaur is retreating. And Dinosaur getting a nice look at what the composition of the Protoss army is. He's expanding to his 4th now. More than likely we'll see this go down as a planetary. And there we do have the planetary going down. Another upgrade on the worker count, 76 versus 64, so still in the lead Protoss player. And we do have these Ghosts, so could prove the key component